Hello everyone and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry, a fan channel where everything Dragalia Lost can be found. This video is going to contain my first ever clear of Iblis's Surging Cascade on the Legend difficulty in co-op play. I'm still trying to round out all my clears on co-op of the different Legend Sinister Dominion battles, so this time around I decided to take on Iblis, in part because I heard this was one of the easier battles to take on. There's some bugs with the fight right now, or possibly a rebalancing, but more likely a bug, where certain moves that would otherwise one-shot everyone when they happen no longer do so. They instead do about 70% of each character's HP and damage. So because of that, this is one of the easier Legend Sinister Dominions to kind of brute force your way through at this point. Those moves are the ones that happen when you fail certain checks in Iblis's fight, like the Affliction check. Of course, underneath Iblis's cloak, there is that counter, and every time you afflict with either Flash Burn or Paralysis in the first phase, and Poison or Stormlash in the second phase, that number goes down, and you want to get it to 0 before you hit certain milestones in the fight. So this is where that first milestone would be, where Melodic Shift happens, but of course we had it down to 0 nevertheless, so nothing really happened to hinder us. I'm playing Galazena, a character I just really have not used a whole lot. Don't get me wrong, she's definitely been in some of my solo team comps, but I have rarely ever actually played as her and controlled her, so I thought it'd be kind of fun to try her out. I've played a lot of Halloween Laxi, played Gala Yuden in the past, Gala Luca, so I've had, a lot of experiences with different light adventurers, Floor and Yachia once upon a time, and even Hildegard, way back in the day, used her, I think, for my standard difficulty high Zodiac clears. But this is a character I had just never really played that much, despite the fact that she's very powerful. Probably the strongest healer in the light element, as fun as it is playing Kimono not for me. There's no question, Galazena with the overdamage, her force strike, she just brings a lot of power and utility to pretty much any team comp. Of course, has her dual affliction resistance as well. So I decided to go with her, but having said that, I'm by no means an expert. This is kind of my first time really trying her out, and I also don't necessarily know or remember all the timings in this fight as far as when I need to heal, and in particular, that's going to be whenever a corrosive fog happens, but I just don't know exactly when those are coming, so you'll see there are points where I'm kind of holding on to my heals a little longer, maybe thinking that I'm going to need to use them, and then eventually just use them anyway to go ahead and get regen going on the team, and so on. At this point, I brought 2 paralysis shared skills with me, but I just used them there for the overdrive gauge reduction. And there, I dragon kind of out of panic, and luckily this prelude happens afterward. For some reason, I remember these not being bats. I guess maybe it's because the counter itself on Iblis has those little green orbs, but there are a lot more of them in co-op than there are in solo play, and they're also more spread out. So me being a dragon kind of helped out with things there, but really that was more a panic dragon, which is pretty dangerous when you're a healer, because when you're in your dragon form, you can't necessarily use healing skills unless you're playing a very particular kind of dragon. So unfortunately, I did the same thing here, where this move happened, and I was worried I was going to get hit a lot and didn't have a heal available, so I went to my dragon just to preserve myself. But you see, Halloween Laxi and her team there got pretty low on HP, as did Annalie, and we were a little far from meeting our check on afflictions. Luckily, our damage was high enough in the light phase that we're able to switch teams and now use our win teams. So in that first phase, we had Galazena, who I was playing, along with Annalie and 2 Halloween Laxis. This time around, I decided to go with Eleonora. Of course, my first adventure, I have her summoned, and she's actually reasonable for this fight. It's one of the rare cases where the fact that she can poison on both of her skills and has some poison edge mechanics as well in her kit, full HP equals poison, is somewhat relevant. I guess really the affliction chance up doesn't necessarily help all that much, but the actual 2 poisoning skills does help. Now, I'm not the best at dodging this pattern, this oratorio attack I think it might be called, so I decided to go for my dragon here just kind of out of safety. And you'll see between Pros of Elegy, which I luckily avoid, and some of these other attacks, one of our Bondforge Udins gets very, very close to death, and somehow miraculously, Nina came in clutch here with healing and was able to save Bondforge Udin and our whole team a couple of times, really. I have to say it feels very satisfying, the damage output right now with Eleonora. Not something I'm very used to with her. She's not a character known for high amounts of damage, but even doing this much with her skills, it feels pretty good relative to what I'm used to. Of course, Bondforge Udin and having access to Volk and a level 3 amp definitely helping carry the damage here, as well as Basilius, who starts out with his sigil unlocked or released because it's in phase 2. So we're shredding, we're doing a lot of damage to the boss, and luckily I had another dragon available to tank an attack. Basically all of my dragons this fight were just used to tank attacks that I'm not as good at dodging, but thankfully it was there, and we got another break, 2 breaks this time around, fire off all my skills, and on that Vendetta arrow, that was it for Iblis on the Legend difficulty in co-op play. Big thank you to those who helped me out with this run and helped me practice for this run. I'm pretty excited. I'm almost done now with all of the different Legend fights and endgame fights in Dragalia Lost, so going to continue to try tackle them 1 week at a time and share my clears of them as they happen. But that is pretty much going to do it for today, everybody. I'd love to know if this is something that you're still interested in, still working on, some final content for Dragalia Lost. I'd be curious. Let me know in the comments below. But otherwise, thank you as always for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.